What is up, guys? I'm Chad Molyneux and this is the Chad Molyneux Fitness Channel, and today I'm going to talk about eating for performance versus eating for looks. So let's start off by defining both. What is eating for looks? Eating for looks is essentially eating less calories than you burn in a day, so burning more calories than you eat in a day in order to eventually, over time, lose body fat. Eating for sports performance is eating in a caloric surplus, so eating more calories in a day in order to enhance one's sports performance. Now, expanding more on the sports performance side of things, performance is defined and relative to you guys. It doesn't have to mean that you're a professional athlete. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to the Olympics for weightlifting. It doesn't have to mean that you're Usain Bolt. It could be that you just simply want to increase your deadlift in the gym, or it could be simply that you want to work on your volume and increase your workout volume, being able to work out longer in a day or do more sets and reps in your workouts. It could simply be doing more bicep curls. Performance is all relative to you and your goals. With that being said, looks is also relative in... phone's ringing. 1 second. And I'm back. So, looks is also relative to you. Just like sports performance, looks is also relative to you. So, how crazy you want to look, how shredded you want to look is going to depend on how much you want to cut your calories back. If you just want to lose 30 pounds and you don't really care about having abs and you're already a little bit overweight, but you just want to lose weight to look better and feel better, then you're not going to reduce your calories as an extreme as if you want to be like 6 or 5% body fat. So once again, looks is relative to you and your goals, and so is sports performance. Okay, so a common question would be, can you still look good while eating for sports performance? Do you have to eat like a physique person or to be shredded in order to look good? My answer is no. So from my experience, I've done both. I've done the physique competition. I did one this past summer. You guys probably already know that. And currently, I'm doing sports performance. I have gained, when I was doing the physique show, I was like 173 pounds. Now I'm like 193, so I've gained 20 pounds, but I have not put on a lot of body fat, and I have not really lost my abdominals. So a lot of that weight is accredited to me holding on to a lot of water weight, maybe putting on some muscle, and just the way that I'm eating is different now, so my body is holding weight differently. It doesn't mean that I got fatter, it just means that my body is holding weight differently. So the answer to that is yes, you can still look good while eating for sports performance. Okay, another thing I wanted to go over before I bring out the whiteboard and start going over what your diets should look like is that the amount of calories that you're going to intake for sports performance, there's no set number. Everything is relative to you, your body type, your activity levels, your metabolism, and all that good stuff. Same thing goes for sport, or same thing goes for if you're dieting for looks. It's all relative to you. For me, I had to diet down to extreme lengths in order to lose weight. Some people can lose weight at higher amounts of calories. It's all a trial and error basis. So in order to really know your body, you need to actually get some experience. You need to actually track your macros. You need to actually track your calories and see how your body reacts to certain foods, see how your body reacts to certain amounts of calories, certain amounts of protein, carbs, and fat, and then make adjustments accordingly. You're not expected and you're not going to know what your body responds to like that. You're going to make mistakes, but that's the best part about it, is because you're going to learn from those mistakes, and eventually you're going to know your body so well that maybe you don't even have to track your calories or macros. You can just intuitively eat because you already know how much food you're going to need and what that food's going to do for your body in the gym for performance or outside of the gym for your looks. Okay, now I want to get into and break out the whiteboard and write down what my personal diets looked like for training or what my personal diet looks like for training for sports performance, and what and what my diet looked like for my physique competition. Now remember, these numbers are relative to me. I don't want you guys to follow these numbers, but I'm using me as an example to show and give more information to you guys about what the differences are. Okay, so the biggest factor and the biggest two things that are gonna change between a diet that is tailored for your looks and a diet that is tailored for sports performance are your calorie intake and your carbohydrate intake. So when you are dieting for looks, your calories are gonna look a lot lower than when you're dieting for sports performance. And when I say dieting, it just means the way you're eating. Dieting doesn't relatively mean losing weight. For sports performance, it definitely doesn't mean losing weight. And for looks, it does mean you're losing weight. So also, carbohydrates are going to look a lot different when you're dieting for looks and when you're dieting for sports performance. Your carbohydrates and the amount of calories from carbohydrates are going to be a lot higher for sports performance and a lot lower for looks. So this is pretty much what I followed right here for looks. So I was consuming about 1,200 to 1,800 calories in order to diet down overall, I lost about 30 pounds. Okay, so my protein was 180 to 200 grams of carbs a day. Of protein a day. My carbs was about 50 to 100 grams of carbs a day. My fat was about 30 to 50 grams of fat a day. Now is this... This looks kind of funky. Anyways, continuing on. Now for performance, what I'm currently taking in is 2,700 to 3,000 calories a day. So right there, I'm pretty much doubling these numbers in calories. Why? Because calories equal energy, and the more energy I have, the better I'm going to perform. But there is a limit. You don't want to go too over because then you're going to start gaining weight. You gain weight, you're going to be slower, your sports performance is going to decrease. If you short these calories, you are not going to provide your body with enough energy in order to perform well. So there is a fine line, and you're going to have to hit and find that range through trial and error. Okay, so now notice that the protein amounts on both are very similar. Are exactly the same. So I took in 180 to 200 grams of protein for looks. The reason I kept my protein very high on the looks portion is because I was trying to maintain as much muscle mass as I could as I was dieting extremely down. So that was my main objective. So for sports performance, you're probably asking why it's still 180 to 200 grams of protein a day. Because I'm not so concerned about maintaining my muscle mass, because protein isn't what our body is looking for energy. When I'm planning a sports performance nutrition plan, I'm more concerned about how much energy you have and how it's going to affect your performance. So our body never really looks for protein in a sense of it's going to burn it for energy. It looks for carbohydrates. So that's why my carbohydrates are 270 to 300 grams a day compared to the 50 and 100 in the looks. Because when I'm dieting down, I'm trying to cut those carbs back, and really that is going to be the factor of losing weight, is cutting those carbohydrates back. Now on the inverse, or the complete opposite of that, for sports performance, you're going to increase that because our body's main source of energy is carbohydrates. So, just to recap that little piece there, 180 to 200 grams of carbs of protein for sports performance, 270 to 300 grams of carbs for sports performance, and now let's move on to the fat. The fat is going to change slightly, but nothing crazy. So, the fat for looks was 30 to 50 grams a day. The fat for sports performance is 50 to 80 grams a day. So, there's like some small reasons why you would only bump it up for sports performance, but just because fat helps lubricate the joints, and when you're working out and you're training for a sport, you're usually going pretty high intensity and pretty high volume. So you want to be able to, when you recover, help lubricate those joints, keep your joints very healthy. So that's why I bumped up my fat just a little bit, but nothing's really going to change with the fat. Like I said, the main two factors are your calories and carbohydrates. So to recap those two things, why would you have your calories higher for sports performance, because calories equal energy. The more energy we have, the better we're going to perform. But once again, there is a limit. You don't want to go too high, or else you're going to end up putting on some serious weight, and not in a good way. Calories are low for looks, obviously, because you want to burn more calories than you intake in a day to eventually lose a lot of weight. So in 1 pound of fat, it's 3,500 calories. So you would have to be in a caloric deficit of 500 calories for 7 days out of the week to lose 1 pound of fat a week. All right. So the carbs, once again, was 50 for looks, 50 to 100 grams for looks. The reason we're dropping our carbs down is because that's the main factor in weight loss, besides calories for macronutrients. Now for performance, why do we want to increase our carbs and have our carbs as the main energy source? Because carbohydrate is what our body goes to for energy, aka glycogen, which is stored in our muscles and helps our muscles contract during exercise. So carbohydrates, definitely the main factor here in sports performance. You want those high. Fat, like I said, relatively the same, just to help lubricate some joints. We increase it a little bit for sports performance. Okay guys, so the last little thing I wanted to get into before we end this video is food typing. So what is it gonna look like for eating? Like, what kind of food should you be eating for sports performance and for looks? So there's gonna be, this is kind of like a Venn diagram pretty much. So in the middle is the both column, and then this is the sports performance column, and this is what's different with the looks column. So in the middle, I wrote down whole foods. For both diets, for looks and for sports performance, you wanna be eating whole foods. So when I say whole foods, it doesn't mean you're going to the Whole Foods supermarket and eating foods from the supermarket. Whole foods means that you are eating foods from the earth that are whole, things that are coming from the ground, things that once had heartbeats, things that once swam, things that once flew, things that once walked, things that grew on trees, like I said, grew in the ground. So things that are coming from the earth. That is what a whole food is. So you want your main food source to be coming from clean, whole foods for both diets. So, like I said before, the only thing that changes on both sides is your carbohydrate intake. So let's go over sports performance first. So there's two types of carbs. There's simple carbs and there's complex carbs. Simple carbs are simple sugars that are going to break down quickly into your body, providing your body with quick energy. Those are not whole foods. Complex carbs are most likely coming from whole foods. They're things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, oatmeal, things that are breaking down slowly in your body, giving your body longer lasting energy. So when you're in a sports performance diet, or when you're eating or training for sports performance, you're allowed to have both types of carbs, simple and complex. So why would you want to have simple? So like an hour out before your workout, you want to have a simple carb. You can have a banana. That's a simple carb. You can have fruit. Any type of fruit is a simple carb. It just gives your body some quick energy and replenishes your muscles with some glycogen so that you can perform very well during your workout. Complex carbs is what you're gonna have in both. So for looks, you're trying to have 90% of your diet of complex carbs. Here you can go about 50-50 for sports performance. You can have 50% complex, 50% simple. But for looks, it's very, very important that we're having majority of our carbs from complex carbs. Because, like I said before, simple carbs is essentially just sugar. So sugar converts to fat, and when you're trying to look good, trust me, you do not want to be intaking a lot of sugar. You want some more complex carbs that are going to break down slower in your body, make your body fuller for longer, so that you're not eating, or you don't have cravings to eat a lot. Because when you're trying to look good, you don't want to eat a lot. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I'm trying to, with my channel, guys, you're probably wondering why one day you see a vlog, why one day you're seeing a video like today. I like to give you guys some variety. I don't want to just do vlogs every day because I feel like some of that content isn't evergreen, meaning long lasting. Like it's not going to benefit you guys. It's not going to translate over into your guys' training. Yes, it's nice to see me work out. Yes, it's nice to watch what I'm doing in the gym, but it's also good for me to provide information like this where I break out the whiteboard and it's just me and you having a conversation and I'm feeding you guys knowledge. I like making these type of videos the best because I think that they're evergreen knowledge and it's going to provide you, the viewer, with the most value. So yeah, if you guys like more of these videos or more of these types of videos, hit this video with a thumbs up, leave a comment down below with a topic that you guys want me to cover, hit that subscribe button, join the family, and let's get better together.